in the north of Italy, there is a Bitcoin heartbeat. So start yourself a Bitcoin Valley. It's really fun, rewarding. You make a lot of friends. You participate in a revolution, and while the revolution develops, gaining freedom. If you wait a bit, your volatility problem will disappear. You will see more financial institutions getting their hands on Bitcoin.
I heard that, Bitcoin Valley, like, I think as I got it described, it's a little bit like the Italian version of the Bitcoin Beach.
It started before Bitcoin Beach. I was a technologist researcher in what is now called artificial intelligence in a research facility near in North Italy. The name is Fondazione Bruno Kessler, FBK. And I was involved in web of data research, which is the original idea from Tim Berners-Lee of internet as a distributed database of different computers where data is linked by curated semantic. One of the curious things of this, my involvement, is that the semantic web was dubbed as Web 3.0. It's not anywhere near Web 3 of nowadays, which is a buzzword, or meaningless buzzword. But it was interesting. I was interested in Bitcoin because I was invited to hold a TEDx, which is like a formal speech about technologies, things that you want to share with humanity. In my speech, which is on YouTube, you can find it about Marco Amadori. It was about cognitive surplus. It is in Italian. And the final part of my speech was about Bitcoin as an example of open source code with open data transaction. It was just a curiosity. I was involved in I was asked by the main head of the research center to hold an internal speech about Bitcoin technologies for the different research units. This was late 2014, while my speech was in late 2012 about Bitcoin. So it was one of the first in my area knowing and studying about Bitcoin. And while I was preparing this internal speech for the research unit, I asked a local pizzeria near the research center if you want to participate in this research about Bitcoin. And I asked if you want to accept Bitcoin just for fun, not for any reason. And it started like that, just for fun. A local journalist interviewed the local pizzeria, and some other venues in Rovereto, which is a town near this research center, asked me if they could participate too. It was a pub and a vegan restaurant in late 2014. And after that, other merchants, brick and mortar merchants, asked to accept Bitcoin because it started like a local experimental research thing. Nothing more precise. It started for fun, and it gave us an idea of a business idea. In fact, we started the company two years later, after I went out to the research center. And the first company was in Bitcoin. It was about making software over Bitcoin. We started different products. But people came to visit us not for our fine code or open source efforts, but for the people accepting Bitcoin in the town. So a lot of more people were involved in the community in the world. I think the oldest was Arnhem in Netherlands, but they had Defiance in 2000 when they hosted Roger Ver. There was the big cash mess, so they went off the radar a bit. We are still proud and alive and kicking. We had the first commercial Lightning Network transaction in the summer of 2000 when we hosted a local RGB developer meetings. And we tried, everyone in this pub. It was not the real first transaction of Lightning Networks in a pub, which happened in Berlin. But happened in Berlin with Lalo laptops. We had the first real transaction in a commercial venue with commercial product outside drinking outside this local bar. Nowadays, there are a lot of venues in Rovereto accepting Bitcoin. A lot of them are accepting Lightning Network, like 99% of them are accepting directly Lightning Network, and also applying a discount. They are applying a discount to like from 10% to 22% in a different location. And this changed over the years. The first Bitcoin Valley years, where we were accepting Bitcoin directly on the blockchain, on the time chain, which was insane. But the initial distribution of merchants were converting Bitcoin to euro, like 80% in the first years were converting to euro. So accepting Bitcoin, but not keeping Bitcoin. Nowadays, it's more than the opposite. Like 97% are keeping Bitcoin, and the discount was not our idea. Was an idea from one of the first pub in Rovereto accepting Bitcoin to cheer the Bitcoin reaching 2,000. He wanted to give back to the community, I don't know, as you wish, or simply getting more Bitcoin without fees, which is one of the main reasons to accept Bitcoin. You are getting Bitcoin zero fees, or if you made it your discount. And it is really cool because we are now in Rovereto, like the second cycle of success stories from the merchant. So we have all the legends of the first merchant. Some of them have stopped working or working very little because they accumulated a lot of Satoshi. And they are starting also the second cycle. So the merchants started in last years, and when started directly with Lightning Network, so recent merchants, and they already have their success story because they started when Bitcoin was like 20,000 euro, and nowadays are like 3 times the price when they started accumulating Satoshi in exchange of their product or services. We have some strange Bitcoin tourism too. People are coming by to visit us to try to see if it is real, and it is real since like 10 years now. And some people also moved there, like one Argentine and one Brazilian guy decided to, after visiting Rovereto for vacation, in coming to Italy, they said, let's see this Bitcoin Valley. And they fell in love and remained there. We are not involved with local politics too much. So we had some results in past years. We had a local politician, I don't know how to translate it, it's a motion, like a small a small proposal that made the local territory it's like a province of Italy in this Trentino, north of Italy, where we are located, to actively promote Bitcoin in the region. We had some results after that. Some local guys started a mining company, and they are pretty much unknown, but they are really nice because they have like 5% of the entire world hash power, 100% renewable from hydroelectric power. And this time, we are in a mountain region in the Alps in Italy, and we have a lot of hydro plants. So yeah, we are a fertile territory. We still Italy. We are not some marvelous land of freedom. But in the north of Italy, there is a Bitcoin heartbeat pulsating since a lot of years.
That's amazing. I love it. And I think it also shines a light on Bitcoin as a grassroots movement, right? It's like Bitcoin is not something top down. It's something that grows from the people up. There's projects starting, then there's happening stuff. Do you also see it like that as the start of a grassroots movement that eventually whole Italy will be orange pilled with the small start of a community? Maybe like in south of Italy, there's another community starting. And maybe something like in El Salvador can happen over the long run, where then all of a sudden higher politicians pick it up and like, oh, we could do Italy. There's a whole over the whole nation, something like that. Do you see something similar?
It will be really slower than that because in El Salvador you have direct involvement from the power, the political power. We did the Bitcoin Valley without real involvement of politics because they didn't understood yet Bitcoin. This will probably change for sure because they will, when they realize Bitcoin is a thing, they probably realize that they live in the Bitcoin Valley and will start to try to exploit it. But I will welcome that because I'm not tied to be the real father on want to have a statue or something like that. I would like to change the land where I live, so everything that could favor that, it will be welcomed. Our major is not like the Lugano major. He didn't understood Bitcoin yet, but we have elections soon, so probably let's see if the new Rovereto major will start to leverage Bitcoin Valley or not. It should be a good idea for him or her, but we are not too much concerned about that. We will surely support our local politicians that want to understand Bitcoin, but we are mostly focused on the citizen can understand Bitcoin without asking themselves if Bitcoin brings them votes or not. It will bring them financial freedom or keep them far from slowly decay in poverty, like by keeping euro. So we are just doing some for what Bitcoin Valley is concerned. We have a local exchange on the street. You can enter, buy, and sell Bitcoin since 2010. You can come ask for how to use Bitcoin, how to give Bitcoin to your son, to your kids, to your nephew, how to keep them, to have secure them. And we are Bitcoin not yes Bitcoin maximalist, like kind of mostly shitcoin minimalist, I think. Yes, since the beginning, our company was called in 2016 in Bitcoin, and where when the other people were hiding Bitcoin inside blockchain, chain block, chain something, block another thing. We started at the first by we wanted to be the clean, not worrying part of Bitcoin, but spreading anyway crypto-anarchy ideas. So we are quite anarchist, like something like that. So we will take your old hand and bring gently to the crypto-anarchist utopia.
Amazing.
So a lot of people come and pay by our shop. We also sell some merchandising. We also have a software company which is doing software development over Bitcoin technologies. We were involved in different areas, from wallet to point of sale. We did our Bitcoin merchant services because we started before like BTC Pay was a thing. We started similar to BTC Pay by mimicking the BitPay API, thinking like BTC Pay that it was a thing that people were using that APIs. They were not. But so probably we have a similar engine, which is proprietary, is not open source just for because we is just too much work. There is BTC Pay, and so we are not interested in polishing it too much to publish it for now. Maybe it will change, but it's not a big issue, a big thing. It's mostly customized for some customer which have maybe some specific or particular need for some feature, some obscure feature. We published a different kind of open source code because I come from I was a Debian developer, kinda. I was involved in creation of Debian Live, which is a system that will start a Linux system from scratch, from like a read-only media, from a USB key, something like that. So I was involved, and still little involved in some open source projects. So we are Bitcoin fan. So we are doing this company not for money, but for ourselves, to have a Bitcoin friendly land around us.
Oh, that's amazing.
This was the initial idea, because Bitcoin Valley was like a sub-product. Nowadays we are trying to push it a little bit more, but it was like a sub-product for our developers too, because we were one of the first company in Italy to pay developers directly in Bitcoin, and we wanted them to spend in the city, so they should be able to spend before having a beer like that, and to enjoy the city. And this was one of the first movers for us. And nowadays, the software company is less. We are less focused on that and more focused on Bitcoin Valley, because some years ago we thought that since it was like kind of easy for us to create a Bitcoin Valley, it would be easy for other people around the world to create one. So we didn't invest it in Bitcoin Valley at first, because we were thinking we are not so special. And instead, we saw after some years that we are still special. We were not just started early. We were kind of some special. And so nowadays we are tending to be interested more in this thing, which we were completely underestimated at start.
Definitely. And I think Bitcoin in general is just good for business. Like if you start something and you do it with the sole purpose to do something good for Bitcoin, and something like a project like the Bitcoin Valley, starting something is really good for Bitcoin, this will bring automatically also good business to the people involved, to the area, to the location. And it will be good. Like you talked before about the politicians and the election coming up. It would be amazing for a mayor also to say like, oh, we should embrace Bitcoin. We have this Bitcoin Valley thing. We have local businesses accepting Bitcoin. Why shouldn't we also accept Bitcoin? There's no reason to not do it. And this is something really beautiful that we can see as here in the Bitcoin Valley. We can see it, as you mentioned, in Lugano. We can see it in El Salvador. And I think right now there's like small projects all over the world. There's like, there's something. It all has like unique stories behind them. But as they get bigger and better, they multiply. They will hopefully come also to Austria. I don't see something now, but I hope they are coming to Austria at some point also.
Sure.
Maybe I have to start something.
There are some difference. I've been in Lugano recently for the MV. The difference I saw is Lugano came from the top. So they have bigger numbers than us, because we still have like 100 merchants in Bitcoin Valley. They started like in a couple of months, they reached 600 merchants. But practically all of their merchants are not keeping Bitcoin. They are selling right on the transaction Bitcoin. So in Bitcoin Valley, merchants are keeping Bitcoin. We are not pushing too much. We are trying to grow organically. So when a merchant is registered, we try to involve it in the community by organizing a local Satoshi if the venue permits that, or any way to bring some clients to the merchant. Otherwise, not only they are not interested in keeping Bitcoin, but the people who can pay in Bitcoin will not pay in Bitcoin. In Lugano, a lot of Bitcoiners paid with credit cards because they had no incentive at all to pay in Bitcoin. They're not giving them a discount. They know that if they pay in Bitcoin, they will sell instantly Bitcoin for fiat. So it's similar, but it's different. We saw Bitcoiner more eager to spend their Bitcoin if they had a discount, if they know that their merchant are keeping the Bitcoin they spent to the shop or for their service. So this is an issue. At first, it was not, because the novelty, Bitcoiner wants to pay in their city the first time to have the feeling. But after the first one, they will not give them the Bitcoin. They will pay in euro or in franc, Swiss franc, or another currency, in fiat currency, because they want to keep the Bitcoin. So if you are a merchant and want to have the Bitcoin from your local Bitcoiners, please give a discount, and please let know your customer that you are keeping the Bitcoin. Strangely or not so strangely, they will give you their Bitcoin if you are willing to keep them, to hodl.
Of course, like, because Bitcoiners just don't want to sell their Bitcoin to someone that like dumps it to fiat. It's like almost like selling Bitcoin in a way.
Correct.
But if you accept it, Bitcoin, and you have it in the ecosystem, it's really, really cool. Where do you see actually the state of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange? Because right now, I think we are still in the adopting phase of store of value.
Correct. I agree.
We're still in the adoption phase. How do you see, like, right now, how far
No,
are
no,
we?
I agree with your vision. We are still experimenting in Bitcoin Valley because Bitcoin is still in the price discovery phase. It will not become a medium of exchange so soon, but it is a technology of exchange since day zero. And also, in some area, it's a accounting tool, because miners are not paid in dollars or euro, are paid in Bitcoin. So it's a bit strange, literacy wise, because something like Bitcoin should pass from these phases: reservoir of value, the meaning of exchange, a unit of account. But Bitcoin is from the zero technology for exchange, and also a account unit in some particular area. I think Bitcoin Valley will grow because people around the Bitcoin Valley have Bitcoins, and after a while you want to also spend them, and it's better to spend them where there is a discount than to exchange and pay in fiat if you can. But I agree with you. We will see Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. I think not before a popular mean of exchange, not before like 15 years of 20, I think. But for some marketing reasons, for if you have a curated community, or if your zone is like a tourist zone, like Italy, most of places in Italy are tourist locations. This could work for sure. It could work also in privacy-related business. Maybe if I want to not let know my wife that I have another lover, I will buy my flowers from Rovereto Bitcoin Valley shop. That's We have one that sells flowers without having an entry on your credit card. Okay, so I think it's like or a safe haven, or tourist zone, or sandboxing experimental zone, which is kind of like a Bitcoin Valley. It's not a real sandbox yet, but we are trying to have some exemption or some way to interact with public administration in Bitcoin more. We had one of the first public administration, PA, accepting Bitcoin here in Bitcoin Valley. Just canceled some months ago because the centralization of the Italian government reached us. Our local community were able for years able to pay local canteen for schools in Bitcoin. And then, like I said, the central state payment system came, and it was like a step back from our local public administration payment system.
Oh, okay. Really, really cool. And you also said you're with Linux and open source development. How did this influence your thinking of Bitcoin? Like how important is it that important is open source development, and coming from that world, how did this influence your thinking of Bitcoin when you first discovered Bitcoin? And yeah, how was your story there?
Yeah, I started to study Bitcoin not for speculative reasons, but I was interested in technology, really. For my first 2 years, I was trying to break Bitcoin, and after my unsuccess, I finally capitulated and started to buy some Bitcoin. I also was involved in experimenting with mining, something like that. We did a lot of stuff, but I think open source is necessary for Bitcoin, because we need transparency, we need security. So the open source model is not only enabling, it's a requirement. Because otherwise you need to trust your software provider, which is a step back in peer-to-peer. I don't need to ask permission to use it. So it's not only as a good security practice, but it's a necessity for Bitcoin. I'm surely based because I like Debian, I like open source because it's free access to knowledge. I remember my young days when I first discovered that you can write in a terminal man have your manual page command, and was excited about that. My first Linux, I installed my first Linux in 19 on an Amiga 4000. It was really hard, and it took really long. But the graphical X Windows system on Amiga was faster with 200 colors than a native Amiga operating system with 16 colors. So I was, this is fast. It's blazing fast.
This is really early, really cool days, and it's open source development is so important in general. Like even outside, of course, for Bitcoin, it's essential. Like if Bitcoin is not open source, like then there's no point to it. But even for outside, it's really important, I think. And I also saw
I kind of like the definition of Andreas Antonopoulos about Bitcoin. In a cool speech, he was talking about the difference between software development and hardware development, and say that Bitcoin has some traits of both. Because in hardware development, you need to plan a lot. You cannot break things while you are developing, because you need to print on silicon. And otherwise, software development and open source software development in the startup internet area have like the mantra, move fast and break things. It was also used by Ethereum guys. And you cannot do really that in Bitcoin. You cannot move fast and break things. You shouldn't break things. You should move slow and careful, like hardware development. Should be more careful. And is was calling it not software, hardware, and the Bitcoin thing. It was calling it trustware, which we have some characteristic of open source development and some careful attention and need to thought before doing too much things from the hardware development. I think trustware for Bitcoin, like a new kind of technology organism, could be a fitting idea.
I told you a lot about 21 Bitcoin, the best place for me to buy Bitcoin directly on a Bitcoin only exchange. But now let's talk about how to secure your Bitcoin. Once you got Bitcoin, you don't want to leave them on exchange. You want to take self custody. You want to take responsibility of your own Bitcoin. That's why I recommend getting a BitBox. BitBox is an amazing wallet where you can not only keep your Bitcoin in a simple way, very secure, you can even create a passphrase. With that passphrase, you can basically create a hidden wallet on the device itself. Make sure to buy your BitBox in the link down in the description, and with code Robin, you even get a 5% discount. Yeah, really cool. I think so too. That we have we should not break too many things in Bitcoin and should not move too fast. And you also talk. I quickly saw your website and you talked about the Zen of game theory, which was really interesting. I think it was like on the page where there's like a quote of yours and from your services what you provide. And what do you mean with like Zen of game theory? Do you remember putting it on the website?
I don't remember what you are referring to. I said the sign of game theory, or
the Zen of game theory.
Sen.
But it's okay.
Can you spell Sen? What do you mean?
C-E-N.
I don't remember what I was talking about. Sen of game theory. No, I completely forgot my chain of thoughts.
No problem.
It's surely related on game theory in many different areas. If you are doing a retrospective on Bitcoin, you could also attach some game theory related properties like Bitcoin is anti-fragile, which is, I think, is a retrospective view, not a future view of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is not anti-fragile to core is not on the I'm not going discuss it, but you have some peculiarities like different game theory mechanism inside the Bitcoin. We have a lot of in the mining area, in the node, in the software, choosing of the software you are running the area. There are a lot of also in Lightning Network too, in different kind of way to open, punish, close the channels. There is not one single aspect of game theory involving Bitcoin. There are multiple. Probably we will see also in the future other mechanism developing, because nowadays we are seeing Bitcoin infiltrating in getting, you see, like I'm talking about the ETF of the biggest banking group of United States. So it's percolating in the society like that. So it's it will be more different to remove. I think it is impossible to remove Bitcoin from the humankind since 2014. But each year it passes, not just the law of just time passing and people are realizing that since Bitcoin is here from 15 years, and maybe you will keep living for 15 years more. But it's also different. It's here to stay. It's not a doubt I have anymore since a lot of years. Bitcoin is here to stay. The bad thing is that the people who need Bitcoin most are probably the people who have the most intellectual also difficulties to approach Bitcoin. This is a thing that will go bad and bad each year. Like the window of the bank outside Bitcoin is kind of closed. So we have a lot of we, like humanity, we had an incredible window of opportunity. It's still kind of open because not all the rich people, not all the institutions, not all the central banks are still informal for Bitcoin. So still people who need Bitcoin can approach and have some advantage over the institution over possess Bitcoin, which I think is an incredible thing in the history of humanity. Every other opportunity, rich people or powerful people have some advantage to gain access to new technology and new good things that happens in humanity. For systemic reasons, we have some advantage, but I think that the lucky window is slowly closing.
Definitely. And I think, which is also interesting, that most people who need it the most, as you said, they don't do it. And which leads me to an interesting question for you. Who do you think will benefit the most, like from like just an group standpoint, like there are different groups of society?
The nerds like we are blessed by Bitcoin. Thank you, Satoshi, for that. We needed, so we won. Thank you. Yes, why this is the problem? Because people, when they cannot see the revolutionary part of Bitcoin environment, because it's coming from an unexpected way. I try to oversimplify that. If you are of a leftist political view, you probably think that the revolution or change or good change come from a society when they will learn enough, they have learned enough book, culture is spread over the masses, and the masses will arise. If you are kind of rightish, you think that you need the illuminated king that will change for good and fix all the problems. If you are kind of mystical, you think that by adding enough trees and drinking enough grams of curcuma, people will rise spirituality. So you cannot recognize Bitcoin. It comes from math. It comes from code. It comes from cryptography. What is that? I never heard the history when I was young about magic come from cryptography. Magic come from a random guy who will value faith over facts. Something Hollywood teaches like that. So we are now evaluating facts over faith. It's a strange thing to see. Also, the anarchist part is difficult for the anarchist. We have here in Bitcoin Valley an historical anarchist group that failed completely to recognize Bitcoin. Because crypto-anarchism, it's different from anarchism. We have no king's head to be had. We really need some technologies. It's incredible. It cannot work. It's impossible. So it's impossible to recognize. This will take time, and I think Bitcoin will be obvious, but it's a boon to recognize Bitcoin before it will be obvious for anyone. But it will be obvious not for strange property, because it's a teleportable gold, easily forget. I think it's a bad thing. It's a shame that who will benefit most, who will need most, not only in our rich Italy, but also in the other parts of the world, they didn't recognize Bitcoin as their savior. I'm not joking, but not so much. I think Bitcoin could save many lives. It surely saved mine, not only for financial point of view. I was looking for a technology, but when I became involved in Bitcoin, I had some years missing my semestral larval stage. When I first studied Linux or some C programming, I passed through different larval stage when you study a technology and you are getting really excited and passionate about it. And I was not experimenting this kind of feeling since a lot of years before encountering Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, it's really cool because it's an interesting technology for me, as I say. But it's also like a kind of revolution for the society in the whole, but also for the revolutionary, this is also another completely new thing. In most of the past revolution, being a revolutionary is not a very good idea, because you are losing money, you are losing health, you are losing also freedom to participate in a revolution. This time, you participate in a revolution, and while the revolution develops, you are gaining freedom as soon as you started understanding Bitcoin. And if you wait a while, do not spend too much Bitcoin in beers, like some of my developers did, you will probably have also a nice future. So it's really an incredible thing. Be involved in the revolutionary part of Bitcoin. So start yourself a Bitcoin Valley. It's really fun, rewarding. You make a lot of friends.
I love that view. I never heard that before, that we are in the first revolution where you actually gain money, where you actually gain the freedom. And it's like that peaceful revolution. When you participate, you actually benefit.
No violence at all. Just gain for all.
Yeah. I mean, I think for some people that enter the space, the volatility is not as easy to handle. I've seen that with friends, but you can overcome that easily when you just like have
just
a long-term
view.
Yeah, long-term view.
If you wait a bit, your volatility problem will disappear.
Yeah, definitely. You have to have at least one cycle, and then you're probably really good off. By the way, we like just ended one cycle, like 2 weeks ago. We had the halving. I think when this comes out, it will be probably like 2 weeks ago. So we had like officially now the fourth epoch of Bitcoin ended, and now we are in the fifth epoch.
Yeah, and now we are rarer than gold.
Rarer than gold, yeah, definitely. It's really cool to be that, but we knew that we have known that.
It's really cool to be us. It's really cool and fun to be us. Yeah, I agree.
What I wanted to ask is, you wrote a tweet about the halving, where you wrote that before this fourth epoch was all about the digital gold narrative, something like that, and now it's about the Jason Lowry thesis of software. I think you wrote something about that.
Okay, software. Yes, this is a book about. It's not really known, and I read just 1/3 of the book. I need to finish it, but I found it interesting. It should be a book by a major of the United States Force, which should be also a researcher for MIT. This book is kind of a memo, internal memo for the Defense Force of the United States. It's really interesting because software means not software, but means a word that is not hard, so it's not fought with kinetics weapons, but with abstract weapons, which we know that are less lethal than kinetic if you're not throwing miners at people. Otherwise, a miner could be some couple of kilograms and also hurt. But I think a gun is more lethal than a miner. It's really interesting. I don't think I'm really qualified to talk about this book because I didn't read the whole book. So maybe if I told you, I saw strange things, but it's really interesting. It kind of rewrite the idea of the wars in with a game theory approach from the starting point of life evolving on Earth. So if you want to see how you can relate a miner with a protozoa cell, you should read this book. At least the first 1/3 of the book, as I did. I need to finish it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's also about the idea of the halving, because you wrote about that also. Like, and we have this epoching now. Like we have all 4 years right around that time. We have a new epoch. It's like New Year's Eve, but on steroids. For me, at least.
Correct.
What do you expect from Bitcoin in like the next 4 years? What's the next cycle all about? What do you expect from it?
I think that halving cycle will decouple from Bitcoin popularity cycles. I think Bitcoin will still price-wise go on like bubble and bust kind. So because it's working like that from a, I think population kind of view. What I mean, in the first times of Bitcoin attracted a kind of computer science researcher that were interested in a decentralized currency. And after a while, some Austrian economist fanboys. And when you had the first bubbles, it's kind of another part of the world population known about Bitcoin. They started to get interested in it, and some small whale noticed that Bitcoin is rising in price from some months. Other people get interested because of that. Then you have the bubble that busts. You have some more time passing. Another group of people start getting interested in Bitcoin. And we have the demography of Bitcoin that changes each bubbles, because it's not, I think it's not created by the halving effect. The halving effect have just a kind of media effect until now, and future halving will have less effect because they will have less effect in proper term of scarcity of Bitcoin. Now we surpassed the gold. Next steps are realizing that Bitcoin is not inflating anymore. So each future halving will have, I think, less impact on both the price and also the narrative of Bitcoin. What we will see more financial institutions getting their hands on Bitcoin, the first small central banks, and then the first medium central bank. And I have the secret plan of making the Italy being the first of the 8 countries of the G8 in involving Bitcoin. This is my secret dream for my conspiracy that I want to. Not kind of joking, but not so much. I would like, but I'm not so confident in the smartness of Italian politicians. So we probably will be a follower of the first G8 country accepting Bitcoin, which could happen like 12 years. It will probably surprise me if it will happen before, but it could. Let's see how the next currency wars, what will happen. We have the BRICS, we have the dollar, that inflation of the dollar pushed with army. Let's see what happens. Bitcoin will probably not care so much, I think.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think in the G8 countries, There's like Canada, America, Germany, like there are big countries in there. I think they will all need a long time to get Bitcoin.
It's a long plan.
So maybe if you can start something big or like with join forces with other Italians, maybe it's possible. I don't know. But
No.
Russia,
I was completely dreaming without believing in my dream too much.
But that's where beautiful things happen, right? When you dream and you think big, and then maybe it's happening. Like I think Italy would be a great place for Bitcoiners.
Bitcoin Valley is surely a great place for Bitcoiner. Come to visit us and enjoy your staying and spend your Bitcoin here with a lot of discount.
Really cool. Perfect. Before we get to our end routine of the podcast, I'm always like really passionate about Bitcoiners because they have really interesting things to think about and to learn about. Besides Bitcoin, what are you currently studying? What are you currently passionate about? What are you spending your time on when you don't spend your time on Bitcoin?
Okay, I'm a wannabe fingerstyle guitar player, so I enjoy finger picking. I just bought one of the first smart guitar, which is a fiber guitar with a smartphone in it, which have a social network of guitarists, and you can play and record your guitar directly. I'm interested in astronomy. I read some papers, some interested, but kind of an hobby, nothing. And I play some video games with not too much. I think I'm a serial video game player, so when I start a game, I play just this game for a long period, then I stop, start another one. I'm a board gamer also, but then I'm really in those months focused on Bitcoin Valley. So my hobbies are I need to spend more time. I think playing, practicing the one instruments. I think it's a thing that every music player will say that is not practicing too much or too enough. And you, what are your hobbies other than Bitcoin?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I have my whole life now quite around Bitcoin because I'm doing the podcast full time. Other passionate project that I have is the podcast, which is content wise about Bitcoin, but there's a lot of strategy involved. There's a lot of techniques involved where I have to just get better in podcasting itself, where I have to get better in organizing everything. I also started my company now, like 1.5 months ago. So I have to get the whole bookkeeping and having a company. Like there's so many different things I'm now having to learn. So my only source to learn about Bitcoin right now is my guests that I interview every day and Twitter. That's the main source where I get new Bitcoin information. It's good that I already have 4 years of Bitcoin education in my head. But right now I'm really looking into like how to successfully launch the company, how to get the podcast to be sustainable so I can do it actually full time and have some employees helping me. And this is where I'm right now really investing my time outside of Bitcoin.
Yes, another thing that I do, sometimes I'm helping some random open source video games. When I have a lot of time, free time, I like to help some open source game, like looking at the bug tracker and looking for some simple issue I can fix. I think it's funny.
Really cool. I love it. I love it. And now we're coming to
And another thing that I failed to mention in Rovereto, we have I think the only physical source of street Bitcoin, no KYC for free. What I mean, if you come and walk by in the center of in the town of Rovereto, in the center, you can find our shop, and even if we are closed, we have a window, and we free gift of Bitcoin, some like a 00, some Satoshis, for each one, for everyone. We can install Lightning Network and scan a QR code. So if in Italy, you cannot say it's difficult to get Bitcoin, because we are giving them for free on the street for each block that passes. It seems strange why you are really giving Bitcoin for free to people. Yes, we started like a Christmas promotion 2 years ago. And then we saw that the people were not abusing from it, and then we kept the window open. So if you come by to Rovereto, you can get some free Bitcoin in the street, from the street.
Really cool.
If you pass for 5 blocks, you have enough money to buy a coffee, for example. Just wait 5 blocks.
Now I have to come and get a coffee from Rovereto. Really cool.
Come.
We're having an end routine in the podcast where the previous guest is asking a question for the next guest without knowing who the next guest is. And your question from the previous guest is, how do you think Bitcoin will help humanity?
I partially already answered the question, because it will help humanity in different ways. For people becoming involved in Bitcoin, will teach you a lot of different lessons in some areas that you never heard of. Like if you start cultural impact from Bitcoin in the cyberpunk area. So you will learn about peer-to-peer, the importance of privacy, the battle from Zimmerman and PGP. So a lot of culture improvements. You will get, as we told before, you will get some instant financial freedom and some future poverty proof, something like that. And we will see if we will have also other benefits, like reducing the corruption for using technology like money, which is really needed by our humanity needs to exchange information and servicing, so if the whole economy. And this is the main foreseeable future. What are my hope that will really spring a revolution also in other areas? I really enjoy the original vision of crypto-anarchism, like reducing the government function, which we have a better technology to implement this feature, like for the money, but also for other things that are nowadays used or served by hierarchy, government system of pyramidal forms. And instead, we could use some time chain derived technology, which cannot be corrupt. So the main idea of, without being a maximalist in this field, like Bitcoin will kill all the hierarchy function of a voted group. I'm not going so far, but most of the functions now used by government, because we had no other ways of realizing that particular function. I hope that will be implemented by some crypto-anarchy friendly ideas or technologies. This is my answer. My question for the next guest, what we could be. Do you think it's difficult to ask a question for an invisible guest? I'm so optimistic about Bitcoin, and not so tricky. I could have some technical question, but I don't know if it will be interesting. Like, how many? Let's do that thing. How many years you think that technologies like atomic multipath payments will need to be implemented in Lightning Network? So a technical question, not a political or open, a closed question.
Oh, really, really cool.
Because it's needed to is also L2 or something like L2 will be needed for is the work of both Lightning Wallet developers and also to ease the maintenance from Lightning Network users.
Really cool.
Okay, let's do that.
I think that's perfect. Thank you for giving me the question for the next guest already. Really cool. Marco, it was nice to have you on. It was really pleasure to talk with you. I talked already with a lot of Italian Bitcoiners on the podcast. They have always a really unique view of Bitcoin. I loved it. Before I let you go, is there anything you wanna? I think even my first guest was Italian, Alexandre Ottavani. He's now living in Germany, but I think my first ever guest on the podcast was actually Italian from origin. But this was just a side note. Before I let you go, where can people reach you? Like, what's the best way to reach out to you if viewers have questions?
Okay, I'm Amadori, which is a funny contraction of my name, both on X, formerly Twitter, on Telegram. We have also a Bitcoin Valley Media, YouTube and Instagram. If you want to follow some of our Bitcoin Valley related things, or we also have some podcast interview. It is in Italian, so maybe it's not for everyone, but about Bitcoin Valley and the things that we are doing. One of the funny things that you can find in our media, Bitcoin Valley Media YouTube, it's a remake of the Simpson intro with real Bitcoin Valley merchants, and this is really funny to watch.
I'm just looking at my statistics. I have 0 of Italian viewers.
Great. And no more, many more.
Let's push it up to 1%.
Yeah, great.
Then thank you, Marco. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye. Ciao.